Welcome to the Personal Trainer Hustle. Personal Trainer Hustle. If you didn't know, you do now.
Welcome back to the Personal Trainer Hustle, everyone. As always, I am your host, Sam Lopez, and I am going to be covering some misconceptions today, or a main misconception that we have about our job as personal trainers and what our potential customers and clients are really looking for when they come to us looking to have a personal trainer, right? When they go to the gym, there's something that people are looking for. And today I wanted to talk about it. I think I can give you guys a different way to look at how to, approach those potential clients coming in. So for those of you guys that are new to the podcast, this is what we do on this podcast. So I have been a personal trainer for over a decade. I started off at Bally Total Fitness, went up to management, and started my own personal training studio. And I have been doing that for many years. And this podcast now that my gym has grown, now that I have full-time staff at my gym, this is another project. This is something that a lot of my trainers at my gym motivated me to start. They said, a lot of the things you're teaching us, a lot of the things that you're helping out with us with, trainers don't really hear that. They don't learn that. Like I never heard that in my other gym. And, so they over the years, they said you need to do something with this information to kind of pass it on and get other trainers to think about things this way. And so here we are. We are just over a year into Personal Trainer Hustle, and, every day we are either answering a question, covering a topic, and every once in a while talking to other personal trainers about their businesses and their careers as well. So everything to do with the career side, the business side, the marketing side, the sales side of personal training, that's what we intend to cover here on the Personal Trainer Hustle. So for those of you guys that are new, that's the scoop. That's where we're at. Episode 111 today. And today we are going to talk about what is the customer actually looking for, okay? Now, the answer is obvious, but it's also not, and that's why today's episode is an episode, because it is my belief that most of us, when we're new especially, we haven't thought about this very much. And thinking about this is going to help you market yourself better. Thinking about this is going to help you sell your services better. It's going to help you build your websites better. It's going to help you, create your social media profiles better. Because as trainers, what we need to learn to do is understand the needs, the concerns, the wants of the customer, of the person that is giving you a shot. At this point, almost all of you guys, as personal trainers, have had an opportunity to show your services to somebody, right? Unless you're brand new, maybe you haven't crossed this road, but most of you have had at least one, if not a handful of opportunities to sign people up for your services. And this is something we've talked about in many episodes before this one, right? People come in and they say, sure, I'll give it a try. I'll do an assessment, or I'll do a consultation. I'll do a free trial session. Whatever it is that you did, at some point, people are going to give you an opportunity to show them your training. This is where today's lesson is so important. We need to think more deeply about what that person wants and why they came in to see us in the first place. Why did they even open this door to allow us to give us that opportunity to say, okay, show me what you got. Sure, it's a free sample, but let's see. Maybe I like your free sample, maybe I don't. The main thing here is, and the main thing that every trainer thinks that somebody wants is that they want a result, right? So when I ask the question, well, what does a potential customer want, right? What do your clients want? What do the prospect want? What does the prospect want? All of us in unison would say they want results, Sam, right? And we would be proud of that answer. And it would not be a wrong answer. That would be a correct answer. what I'm getting at is it's just not a deep enough answer. It is not an answer that understands the customer in a deeper way. And that is the answer that keeps you from getting to the next level of your career and the next level of your sales. Only thinking that clients are looking for results and that's why they look for a personal trainer is a little bit short-sighted. Why do I say that? Because you have to realize that if all people wanted was results, then they wouldn't look for a one-on-one trainer. They would look for a class, they would look for an online program, or they would just simply start looking up informative videos and start working out on their own, right? And they would commit to a workout routine, change their habits, change their diet, begin to exercise, begin to jog, begin to run, begin to do push-ups, begin to do sit-ups, and they would begin to move towards getting results. So people can get results all on their own if that's all they want, right? Results are a given. And that's what I need you guys to realize is that that results are accessible to anybody at any point, and what we are as a trainer is simply a means to that. And if you can begin to think about it that way, you will better understand your place in their fitness journey, your place in their life altogether. Customers know that they want the result. The result usually comes from some type of pain point, right? There is something that is ailing that individual, right? There is something that they want to have, and it's usually not to have the result itself. What they want is the things that come with that result, right? So when you think about the psychology of the individual that you're working with, instead of thinking of exercise, you need to think of the things that exercise allows for that individual to have in their life that they wouldn't otherwise have, or that they believe they're missing out on because they are not in better shape. Your job as their potential coach, one of your jobs, and I have a list of a couple of things I want to go over today, but since we're on this topic and I don't want to lose my thought here, right, as to where I'm going with this, your job as their coach, as their trainer, is not to do exercises with them, because they know they need to exercise. So when you exercise someone who knows they need to exercise and who might not actually want to exercise, you're missing the point, right? Most trainers, this is why I said just thinking that they want results is a good answer, but it's not a good enough answer if you want to ascend in your career and get better at your selling process. What you need to understand is that fitness is simply a means to an end, right? And even getting that result is simply a means to an end. So what happens with trainers is that we get hyper-focused on exercises. We get hyper-focused on pushing people, making people sweat, putting them on diets, right? And we get excited about the process, but we don't realize that the only reason why somebody is willing to go through the process in the beginning, because there's different types of personalities, obviously, right? Some people really enjoy their workouts or learn to enjoy them. You know, some people become addicted to their exercises. That's all well and good. But the general population that you're dealing with every day, most of them have not yet been consistent enough to actually enjoy the exercise and enjoy the process. In their mind, they're only coming to you. They're only looking for a coach, for a trainer, for exercise, for a gym. They're only doing this because they want something else, right? And the obvious answer is because they want a result. And we end up focusing on the wrong metric. And of course, one thing leads to another. If you, as a coach, can get them down to 10% body fat, by default, they're going to get the other things that they want in their life. But this is what I want to teach you guys and get you guys to think about so that you can be sharper than your competition, that you can be sharper than you were yesterday, so that you can increase the chances of you hitting that home run every time you meet a new potential customer, right? Because what you don't want to do in your career is move too slowly. You don't want to miss too many opportunities because it's going to take too long for you to amass enough clients that you can build a real career out of this personal training job, right? Whether you work at a gym or you work on your own, at the end of the day, you want to amass customers as fast as possible. Now, you're not going to be able to get everyone, but you do need to know what you're doing so that you get some people, and you want to sharpen that skill so that you can get people faster, right? I talked about this not too long ago. What you want is not to have to give a free session to 10 people to finally get one. You want to be able to know that for every 3, 4, or 5 people that you give a free session to, you get one. That way you can actually move a little bit faster. You increase your conversion rate by understanding some of these lessons that we're going over. And one of those lessons is learning to think differently about who you are for this individual. So even before we begin to work with someone, we need to get it in our mind that the goal that they give us, right? Because all of us ask our potential customer what their goal is. And then most people proceed to do a workout that would, if we did it often enough, for long enough time, that type of workout would inevitably give them that result. But we missed the mark in the sense that we never asked, we never concerned ourselves with, we never considered what is it that this person actually wants out of being in this type of shape, right? If this person wants to lose 20 pounds and be down to 12% body fat, whatever their goal is, right? What is it that they hope to achieve from that? And if you can understand that, you're going to ask different questions. You're going to ask them about their life, right? Some of those potential questions, if you guys want to remember this moment in this podcast or take notes right now, one of the simple things you can ask, and this is part of my sales process, and I'm hoping to put something together in the future with all of this information for you guys to condense it. But right now, while we're here, one thing that you can ask people when you are doing the consultation with them is ask them what not being at that goal is keeping them from, right? So a way that you can ask people, so that I want you guys to begin to understand how this works, right? When I'm talking to somebody about their goals, if I sense that I can ask this question, I go ahead and I ask them in their consultation when I first meet them. At some point I ask them, what is it or what things do you believe that being at this weight, being at this body fat, how do you feel like not working out for the last 5 years? What do you think is the number one thing that it's keeping you from enjoying? And when I ask that question, yes, it's a personal question, but now I'm going to hit on a point that actually matters to them. Now I'm going to know their why. Why are they here? Sure, they said they're here to lose 20 pounds and get down to 12 pounds. Sure, that's on the surface. But if I'm really good at this, I'm going to go one step further and ask a little bit deeper questions just to know them, right? If you think it's weird, you can flat out tell them why you're asking, right? Sometimes when I feel like the person's a little bit weirded out by the question, usually they're not. Usually the conversation is just flowing and they just tell me. But if I feel like they hesitate a little bit or they're confused by such a personal or deep question, I tell them flat out. I say, I'm only asking because exercise is a long journey and it's easy to lose our motivation. It's easy to fall off track, as you probably have done all the times that you started working out, right? And they'll usually agree. And I'll say, what I want to do is I want to know what you really want out of this. That way we can both know, for me as your coach, I can know what those driving factors are for you so that in the future, when you're losing motivation, when you feel like potential quitting on yourself, at least I can also remind you and be there for you and say, hey, let's keep the main thing the main thing. And the main thing is that you're missing out on, potentially seeing your grandchildren grow up, potentially not being able to play with your children as they age because you're only going to gain more weight living the way that you are. And so if we have the motivation that you just said about your children, about potentially ending up, on medication, whatever it is that their fear is because they're out of shape, now we have put at the very front of our thought the real reason why this person showed up. They showed up because they need to work out. They don't want to work out for the most part. They need to work out because they want to drop 20 pounds, because they really are afraid of missing out on seeing their children grow up. Now, once I've gotten that far into the real reason why, well, now this person has just heard themselves for the first time admit out loud what they really need a personal trainer for. And hey, I just gave you guys how I do it. That is why my conversions are high enough. That's why I am confident enough to get on a podcast and teach you guys how to do it, because that's a skill you need to develop, and I'm sharing it with you guys right now. If you can get deep enough in people's lives, in their heart, and know the reason, like I always say, not only does it increase your chances of getting that person to commit to a program with you, but it also does make you a better trainer, because if you really want to be the best, you need to concern yourself with what that person actually wants. If you can do that, you're going to be a better coach for that individual. You're going to be a better guide, a better mentor, a better everything to that individual, because you actually get to know them. And now you're no longer functioning on this world, on this surface world that the entire fitness industry functions on. Right? The entire fitness industry functions on this superficial burpees, mountain climbers, bench press, squat, cut calories, increase protein, take creatine. All of those are methods to get to the end. And then one step further is to get the other thing that we really want. And that can be many things. And I've talked about this before, but I'll say it again. It can be on the fear of something, which was the example I gave you, right? This individual in my example is afraid of missing out on certain things, right? There's a fear-based. But somebody's motivation can be gain-based, meaning that they desperately desire to acquire something. For a lot of people, it's status, respect, confidence, right? Those are powerful things that being in better shape usually gives all of us. The problem is sometimes when we're personal trainers, we don't realize the gift, right, that we already have by being passionate about exercising, by already being in better shape than most people. When you have those things, you realize, or you don't realize, you take for granted the reality that other people are living in. So because you're taking it for granted, you don't stop to ask these questions sometimes. You have to ask these questions. What is it that these people desire? Maybe they want to be more sexually appealing, right? And again, everybody has different tastes. It's not to say that, you have to be a certain body fat to be attractive. But in general, most people understand that the fitter you are, the more people are going to look at you and say, hey, that person looks good, right? So, and also, not just that, but the confidence that that person acquires changes their demeanor. It changes the way they walk and the way they talk, the way they present themselves, the way they dress, right? It changes things about them when they're in better shape. That's why everybody likes to work out, right? Not because they love the workout, but they love the things that they get out of being in shape. So you need to understand that. If you can understand that and stop thinking that the person wants to do burpees, they don't. Stop thinking, oh, they want to squat 200 pounds. They really don't. They're just going to do that because they think, well, you're the coach, and if you tell me to do this because that'll get me the thing that I want, then I will do it. Now, again, people eventually fall in love with the routine. They see exercise differently. They change their relationship with exercise. That does happen over time. But in the moment, when you have just a consultation, just an assessment, just a free trial workout, when you have one shot at this, you don't have time to hope that this person falls in love with exercise over time. You have to meet them where they are. And where they are usually is that they don't quite love exercise. They're not very disciplined. They don't understand all the benefits. And how do I know that? Because they're looking for a coach, right? They're looking for a trainer because they hope that the trainer has those things that they don't have. That's why they're coming to you, because they need to hire you for you to give them the things that they're missing, the discipline that they're missing, the joy in the gym that they're missing, the knowledge in the gym that they're missing. All of these things are things that they need from you and for you to fulfill in their routine in order for them to begin to make progress and move forward. So I just wanted to make sure that we started with this whole understanding, because I haven't even gotten to my 5 points. I wrote 5 points today that we're still going to cover, but I didn't want to lose my, what's it called? Train of thought or trade of thought? That's some homework for you guys if you guys haven't thought about that. I was reading a book a few months back that was talking about all the like misconceptions and like the things that we think we're saying right, and that's actually not how the saying goes. So that's one of those. But I didn't want to lose my thought process there. I didn't want to lose the point that I wanted to make. So I started with that point today, and I hope you guys really think deeply about your careers, about your job as a coach with the people that you're working with. You need to think about where are they coming from? What are they going to gain? Right? There's some basic psychological, is it sociological? There are like social things that people want to have, right? Social status is very important, right? That's why people buy nicer things, right? A $10 t-shirt and a $1,000 t-shirt do the same job, but one portrays status, right? A $10,000 car and a $100,000 car all drive on the same road and get you from point A to point B in the same time, but one says something, right? So with the body, with exercise, with desire, it's the same thing. There are certain primal things that as human beings we want, right? We want respect. We want to have confidence. We want to have relationships. And most people are being held back because of their physical shape, abilities, and appearance, right? Because it's not just appearance. Some people are not enjoying life because, they have lower back pain from sitting all day, from lack of movement, from tightness, right? From knotted up muscles, however you want to think about it. They have an issue, and that is leading to less exercise, less movement, missing out on activities with their friends and their families, which then leads to less confidence, which leads to less social life, and on it goes, all from something as simple as like my back gets tight when I stand too long. That's why I don't go to Disneyland with my girlfriend. That's why I don't go bowling with my boyfriend. That's why I don't play with my grandkids when I visit them, right? So there's a lot of things that are happening because people aren't able to exercise, move, feel, and look the way they want to look, right? So I want you guys to realize it's not even just about dropping body fat. It's not just about being more muscular and being in shape. It's literally about just improving the status of an individual. Wherever they're at, they have an issue and they need to move forward and progress in order to move better, feel better, look better. All of those things are going to begin to create a chain reaction of positivity in their life. And as a coach, I just need you to understand that, because it's going to get you to see that customer different. You're going to ask different questions. You're going to change your routine. Hopefully, like I said, if you think about it, you might realize that the whole point is not to destroy them in a workout. The point is to understand them while I have time, because the workout is the workout. We're going to have to work out. When I do first workouts or consultations with people, I always tell them, hey, today's workout might not be the hardest workout, but that's okay, because the point of today is not to kick your butt. The point of today is to figure out how you move and what program we need to put you on to actually be able to move forward. And I always tell them, like, you're going to get sore and you're going to sweat. Whether you do my session or a boot camp or a YouTube class or whatever you do, you're going to do squats, you're going to sweat, you're going to get sore. So that's a given. I just tell them flat out, because I need them to respect me, and I need them to respect the time and what I'm actually looking to accomplish with this time. I'm not trying to kick their butt. That's what everybody does. So again, the way that I change the game for me is to have a different approach, have a more technical, more personal, more realistic approach about life with them, and get them to understand what's at stake here, right? What's at stake is the thing that you truly desire, right? And you don't desire losing 10 pounds. You don't really desire that. That doesn't have enough weight. You've just set that goal because you think by the time you lose 10 pounds, you'll feel differently about certain things. By the time you lose 10 pounds, you'll be able to participate in certain activities, right? So again, if I can get you guys to realize that, you're going to be sharper when it comes to talking to your customers and seeing really where they're coming from. So let's just get you guys to really understand, in my opinion, some things that people are looking for that you need to be for individuals. Okay, so I'm just going to tie it all together here. 5 points, 5 things that customers are looking for, right? These are the cues that they are looking for in order to trust you and allow you the opportunity to be their coach, right? Because that's really how you want to look at it, right? You get to be their coach. They have to say yes, right? You want to be their coach. They have to allow you to be their coach. And these are 5 points I just want to make sure today, since we're on the topic of what are customers looking for, I want to make sure I leave you guys with these as well. Okay, number 1 I wrote down, they want someone who listens and sees them. Okay, so these are just an additional 5 things so you guys can walk away with a lot of things, a lot of notes today, a lot of things you can implement. You know, you can come back to this episode because, you know, you're going to have to take notes because there's no way you're going to remember how to implement everything we talked about today. You're not going to implement it in tomorrow's session. There's just no way. Education doesn't happen like that, right? You don't just get to hear something once, read something once, and think that, okay, tomorrow I completely change everything I do. It doesn't work that way. You have to pick 1 or 2 things, you try them over time, then you come back, you try another thing, and you figure out how you can begin over time to adapt all of these ideas into your first workouts with people, your trial sessions with people. But one of those things that I want to make sure you realize, because a lot of coaches don't do this, is you need to listen and see the individual, okay? Why did I make this note? Because most people looking for a trainer end up training with people that only see the body. They only see that, okay, yeah, I have this client, you know, they want to lose 50 pounds. They had a knee surgery. Okay, but who is that person? Tell me about that person. What are their likes? What are dislikes, right? You need to be able, and my coaches know this at my studio, you need to be able to also tell me about that individual, right? When I ask you about that client, sure, I want you to tell me about their program. I want you to tell me about how you're helping them, the struggles that they're having, right? They can't squat in full range. So, Sam, I'm doing this, and that to get them to squat full range. Sure, that's great. That's technical. Now tell me about that person. Tell me about their family. Do you know anything about their family? Do you know what they like and what they don't like? Do you know where they went over the weekend? Do you know how many kids they have? Do you know the names of the kids that they have? Do you know the name of the spouse? Have they brought in their partner to meet you because they feel so connected to you, right? Do you know some of the stuff that they're struggling with work? Again, it's not our job to be their like friend and therapist. This is a fine line to walk. But what I want to do is give you guys ways in which you can stand out. And this is one of the ways that you can stand out in the potential customer's mind. When that customer comes in and meets you, they probably assume that you're not going to see them just like everyone else in their life doesn't see them, right? Because they're maybe out of shape, because, you know, they're shy, maybe they're quiet, maybe they're reserved, maybe they don't have confidence, right? They're giving this an opportunity because they don't want to feel that anymore. And a lot of coaches come in and look at them just like the rest of the world sees them, right? As somebody who doesn't stand out, who doesn't have confidence, who's shy. So if you can listen to that person and you can show them that, like, I see you, John, you know, I see you, Carol, I see you. I see your struggle. I see your desire to work out. I see your concerns. I hear what you're saying. I understand where you're coming from. If you can make somebody feel that way, right? And you can't do that with exercise. You can only do it through the conversation that you have. I don't know if you guys are getting this from today's episode, but that's what today's about. It's not about what you can do through the workout, because they're not going to know, right? The difference between push-ups, burpees, mountain climbers, crunches, they don't really know which one does what. Only you know. So the only thing that they know is the things that you say, the things that you ask about, the things that you hear, the things that you confirm, the words that you choose to use with them, right? All you have is the communication and the things that you're going to do to let them know that you see them as a person and you hear them as a person and you understand them as an individual. If you can stop talking so much and start listening more, because that's really the only way that somebody feels heard is if you listen, right? They go hand in hand. It's the only way. If they want to feel heard, somebody has to listen. If you don't listen, they know they weren't heard. It's very simple. But if you can make sure that you see them for who they are, they're going to feel connected with you. So all things being equal, let's say they were thinking about doing a boot camp, training with a trainer at another gym, doing it on their own, or training with you. If you made them feel heard, if you really listened to them, if you really saw them, if you really understood them, they're going to want to do that process with you, right? Because they're considering how they're going to approach this right now. When somebody gives you a chance, they're still trying to figure out, how do I lose these 20 pounds? Do I do it at a boot camp? Do I do it at home? Do I do it with my friend? Do I do it with the corporate gym that they give us at work? Or do I do it with this trainer right in front of me? That's the importance of seeing the person, because all of the other things may not see the things that you as a human can see if you choose to do it that way. Just my advice. Again, this Personal Trainer Hustle is my podcast, so I'm going to give it to you guys how I see it. And that's that. Number 2, you also want to be a teacher, okay? You want to be a guide. What does that mean? By the things that you communicate to them, they need to learn something from you. It's not enough that you tell them what to do. You want to take it one step further and show them that you know the way. And again, you can't do this with the exercises because they don't know the difference. The only way that you can show them that you know where you're going is by explaining yourself. It's by explaining the moves. It's by explaining why you're doing this and why you're not doing that, explaining timelines, explaining the reps, explaining the weight, explaining the exercise, explaining the muscles, explaining the concepts, explaining the principles. If you explain to them what's happening, they're going to see you as a leader. They're going to see you as their guide, as their mentor, as their coach. They're not going to see you as the person that puts them through hell. Because a lot of you guys, that's all you are to these people. The person that puts them through hell because they want to lose 20 pounds, right? It's very on the surface. And again, most of the fitness industry works at this level, okay? So I'm not mad at it. It's just what it is. And for most people, that's enough, right? Just hire somebody to kick my butt 2-3 times a week, and that's their job. But that's also why a lot of people don't respect personal trainers, because they think you're just a meathead. All you do is kick my butt. There's nothing going on between the ears. So if you can, again, stand out from the rest and show them by teaching them, by guiding them, by explaining to them, by correcting their movements, by showing them improvements in their movements, right? Because again, when you have a free trial session with someone, whatever that looks like for you, you have one shot to show them that you're going to help them improve. How do you do that? Because improvement happens over 2 months. Improvement happens over a year span. So how can I show you the progress that you're going to make today? How the progress that you're going to make over a year, how do I show you that it's going to happen when I only have 30 minutes to an hour with you today? I can't show you how much more you're going to squat next week. You have to be here next week for me to show you how much you're going to squat next week. But if you don't make a commitment, I can't show that to you, right? So we find ourselves in a weird catch-22. That's why showing little corrections in the moment and explaining why you're doing it and where we're going, you're going to have to communicate that because they're not going to be able to see that. So if you guys haven't picked up on what I'm trying to share with you guys today, is showing you that taking the approach of just working that person out based on their goal, you're going to miss so many opportunities to connect with that individual. Right now, we've covered a lot of things, but the points that I wrote down, one was listening and seeing them. That gives you an edge. All things being equal, that is different than the other trainers. And also teaching, guiding, correcting, right? Like talking to them as to what you're doing and why you're doing it and where it's going. That gives you an edge again, right? It's deeper than just exercise for them. So now they have an understanding as to what they would get if they signed up with you. So there's a lot of communication that should be happening that I think is not happening in about 90% of personal training sessions. There's not enough of all of these things happening in those sessions. It's just exercise. And even when we do some light explanations, we don't explain where it's going and why it's important. We just say, well, just hold your shoulders here so you don't get hurt. Why shouldn't I get hurt? Why is it important? Why are we doing this exercise instead of the bar? Why are we starting with dumbbells? Why are we starting with kettlebells? Why am I avoiding the bar? Why am I not overloading? Why am I loading it today? Explaining what you're doing shows that you are a true leader for them. If you just take them through exercises, again, they may not see how much you know because to them, this is a workout just like any other workout I've been through, right? So that's the importance of what we're talking about today. Another thing that you can share with them in this first moment is also show them what not to do, right? That's another strategy. Explaining to people common misconceptions and pitfalls is another powerful thing that you can do, right? It's what today's episode is about. I'm explaining to you guys a common misconception, right? A common thing that trainers get wrong and showing you possibly a better way to think about it and doing it. That's a strategy. That's what I'm doing today. You can do that with them too. Hey, it seems common knowledge. This is what most trainers do with their people. This is what most people do, right? They just cut their calories in half, hoping that they lose weight. But let me tell you why that can sometimes lead to bad results over time. When you show them what to avoid, that's another way that they're going to see you as a resource. They're going to say, shit, not only is this person going to tell me what to do, but they're going to help me avoid this path that I may have gone down that may have hurt me, that may have given me terrible results, that may have developed a terrible habit, right? So being someone that shows them what to do, but also shows them the pitfalls, what not to do through your experience, again, it's going to increase the status that you have in their eyes. It's going to increase their trust because you won't let them go astray, right? Because it's kind of the other side of teaching them is, if you really want to cover all bases, you want to teach them and correct them on their exercise, but you also want to show them that you're not going to let them go down a path that maybe other people may have let them go down. So sharing with them misconceptions, sharing them, very common pitfalls. You can even have a list of like 3 or 5 most common misconceptions about exercise. You can explain it to them as part of your pitch, as part of your presentation. And again, that helps. It helps that potential customer see the entire picture and see that you can really help them get what they're looking for, right? Today is how do you get that client to really like what today's podcast is about. What does a customer really want, right? What are they really looking for? These are all the things that they're looking for, whether they realize it or not. And because you're not 100% sure all the time, that's why I'm showing you all the bases that you want to make sure that you cover in order to make sure that like maybe this is what they're looking for, right? So maybe they're not looking for somebody to teach us. Maybe they're just looking for somebody to listen. But if you listen and teach and keep them from the pitfalls and the misconceptions, now you've covered 3 things. They'll pick what is the most important, most valuable thing for them, right? Different personalities gravitate to different types of concerns or types of teaching or types of services. So you understanding that allows you to pull from something, right? Maybe you realize, this person really responds to listening to them and asking them questions. Or maybe they don't, but maybe they really respond when I teach them. Maybe they don't, but I notice they really respond when we talk about common misconceptions. So now you have more tools to talk about to hopefully figure out what that person is truly interested in hearing more about, right? That's what all of this is about. Number 4, people are looking for specific solutions that are not easily accessible. As a personal trainer, it is your job to, in a way, be a jack of all trades. Now, that's kind of a weird thing to say, right? Because what the saying goes, jack of all trades, master of none. And that's somewhat true. You could be a specialist, but as a personal trainer, you're usually a generalist. You're a general practitioner. And so what you want is to have as many solutions, as many pieces of information, or at least as many places to guide them in order to be a resource, right? So you want to be a resource of information for people, whether you have it or whether you can attain it. That's another thing that people are looking for. I can't tell you how many times I've seen training sessions where somebody didn't get the solution to the problem that they were looking for because the trainer either didn't ask or they didn't listen to the answer that that person gave. They didn't listen to the concerns. They didn't listen to what they wanted. So for example, right, somebody comes in and they're really concerned about the range of motion in their shoulder. I've heard that before. It's happened many times in the gym. It's not common, but it happens, right? And they say, I want to work out, but I just feel like my arm, I can't get this one all the way up. It's limited. I'm a little concerned because the doctor said, if this keeps up, I might be diagnosed with like a frozen shoulder. And then the trainer keeps talking and they're like, obviously, I'd like to lose weight as well. And what happens is the moment that trainer hears, I want to lose weight as well, that session now becomes a weight loss type of session. And we forget the main concern, which was the person was looking for a solution to the range of motion in their shoulder. Or it could be reversed. Maybe they mention the range of motion, but the real concern is losing the weight. So as a trainer, you have to define, right? Like you have to really ask them what their priority is. When they give you a couple of results, when they bring something up, you can just make sure, you can confirm and say, hey, you mentioned the weight loss and you mentioned your shoulder. What is it that you would want to get more information? What is it that you would want to address more than anything? If we had to put it in order, what is the main thing? And then they might define it for you. They might say, oh, well, the shoulder, it would be great if I could move it a little bit, but really I need to lose weight before my next doctor's visit. Boom. Now you can be on target, right? So people are looking for specific solutions to their problems. That's something that you cannot figure out if all you're doing is working them out. If you start working them out, you don't know what you're solving for, right? So whatever you do, you're never going to get the result to the equation because you don't have the inputs that you need. So what you need to do is make sure that when you meet someone, you're seeking to solve a specific issue for them. Now, for a lot of them, again, it's just going to be losing weight, getting stronger, getting more mobile, stronger core. Like for most people, it's a list of the same few things, but still, again, this is about increasing the chances that that person says yes to you. And so you want to make sure, and over time, this is a lesson that you guys are going to develop over time. There's just no way you're going to be able to understand all of this in one sitting. But the idea is over time, you get better and better and better at understanding, asking questions, really digging deeper, and having certain solutions for certain concerns, problems, or limitations that person has, right? You begin to think differently and go, I think this person really needs a friend. I think that's what this person needs. As long as I'm their friend, that's what they're looking for. And then boom, you figure it out. Or you think this person really needs someone to hold them accountable. I think if I take the approach of holding them accountable, regardless of whether we do squats or push-ups or burpees or whatever we do, if I show them that I'm going to hold them accountable, that's what this person needs. That's the specific thing that they're solving for, is their lack of accountability and discipline. Or maybe they're very disciplined. Maybe they're too disciplined. They're looking for someone who can pump the brakes on them a little bit because they seem to always overtrain and get hurt. They're looking for professional guidance. If you don't know the solution you're going to only add to that overtraining. You're going to add to that lack of technique. You're going to add to their injuries that they tend to get when they work out on their own, because you didn't solve for the right thing. You didn't find a specific solution to the main thing that they needed help with. So that's a skill to develop, is to really fine tune over time. What does this person actually need? What is the actual problem that they're having that I need to now solve for? It's a skill that takes a long time, but I just want to make you aware so that you pay attention to that and maybe realize that you're missing the mark, that your sessions aren't actually solving for anything and they're just exercise sessions, right? So something to think about. And number 5, I just mentioned it, right? Most people want accountability, right? Most people want to tap into the strength that the coach has, right? So I'm going to tie that together with accountability, but people want what you have to a certain degree, right? So you want to understand that sometimes what people are looking for is the discipline and the strength that they see in their coach. And they believe that if they hire you, they're going to tap into that a little bit. That's why being a coach is a responsibility too, because you can't just forget about your client, even though that happens a lot. You know, you have a lot of people that you're working with, but if you're directly working with that person, you want to make sure that you are strong where they are weak. You know, you can't have 2 people that are not disciplined, 2 people that don't hold themselves accountable, 2 people that love to drink soda, 2 people that love to get shit-faced on Friday night, right? If you drink all the time and their weakness is drinking, they're not going to be able to like tap into the strength that you have in that area, right? You might be a little too similar there. Or if they struggle with fast food, and I've seen coaches do this, right? They walk in eating in and out before their training sessions at the gym. What you're doing there is you're not being strong where they are weak. Now, and this is why it's important for you to understand that they want to tap into your strength, your accountability, because it may not be a weakness to you, right? You may just eat it and be okay because you're so tight on everything else. You strength train twice a day. You drink nothing but water. You sleep 8 to 9 hours a day. You take your vitamins. You know, your health record is perfect, right? So just because you have the in and out, you may be able to say, well, it doesn't affect me. Yes, but the potential customer is looking to you to be that source of strength in that area. And so whether you do it or not, you have to be mindful of how you talk and how you communicate and how you show, because in a way, sure, it makes you relatable, but at the same time, they know that they can't count on you for the strength that they are missing in their life. So in a way, the last thing is you just have to lead by example as much as you can, you know, and it's tough, right? Like this is one that I struggle with myself, right? Because I haven't always been the most disciplined person. And so it's hard to say this, but it's the truth. So it has to be said. You know, people also want to, you know, tap into your strength. So when they pay for your service, they're also paying to just be near you, right? They're paying to have just like that example around their life, right? Have somebody that when they talk to, you are that motivational voice, you are that disciplined voice, you are that resource of like, no, we got to get back on track, right? So that accountability, sometimes that's what they're looking for. Just a real mentor, a real coach, a real like pillar of strength in certain areas, right? So they want you to be strong where they are weak. And again, you just want to be aware of that when you meet someone, because you may be having a conversation talking about how you drank last night and they're trying to stop drinking because it's affecting their health. So that person, they probably don't sign up, and you're going to say, oh, I listened to them. I took them through a strong workout. You know, I did all the correct exercises. I corrected them. I showed them strength training, but they still didn't sign up. Sam, what happened? Well, you had the same weaknesses that they had. And when they heard you make a joke about how you were drinking over the weekend, or make a joke about how you're going to go eat in and out after the session, they may have realized, oh, this pillar isn't strong enough for me to build upon. You know, as much as the session is great, as much as I had fun, they are weak where I am weak, and therefore there's no point in hiring that person because they're not filling that gap in my own personal life and discipline. So again, sometimes they are looking for your strength, your accountability in yourself, right? So it's not to say that you're perfect. It's to say that you have to watch how you speak, right? Because you might turn someone off. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying you're not allowed to drink. You're not allowed to eat In-N-Out. You're not allowed to have a soda because you're a coach. No way, man. I have all those things. The point is, you got to watch what you say and when you say it. You can't just go around saying things. That's why the first point was to listen to them, right? You always want to take inventory. You want to make sure that you listen to where they're coming from, what they need, what they want, what their weaknesses are, what their strengths are, before you end up saying the wrong thing that may turn them off. If you know that they're struggling with drinking, then maybe you never talk about the drinks that you enjoy. Or you approach it from like, hey, you know what? I used to have that same struggle too. The way I approach it is boom, boom, boom. So now you can approach it from a leadership role and not I just said something fun to relate to them role where I lost credibility, right? So it's not to say you have to be perfect, but you want to make sure that you have the words in the correct order, right? So that you don't end up saying something that you're going to regret later on. So that's all I'm saying. But anyway, I hope today's episode got you thinking. This is one of those things that I preach to my trainers all the time, right? Like seeing that person, thinking about what they really want and digging deeper into what that person really wants and who they are. That's how I've been able to build my personal training studio. It's not because we make everyone, sweat and be sore for days and throw up. It's because all of us in my team learn this one thing. You have the tools to exercise anyone. Now you just have to understand them better and provide to them, to your best abilities, the things that they're really looking for. And if you can be their friend and their mentor and their guide, then you're going to have a better shot at converting that person into a customer and keeping that person working with you long term if you continue to do all of these things over time. So, I don't know. Maybe you guys didn't expect that much of a deep dive onto what customers need from you, what they're looking for. But again, I hope you guys take some notes where you need them and you found at least one of these points helpful and just something that you can maybe start applying to your first workouts, trial sessions, whatever it is that you do. You can apply some of the things that we talked about today. And that is it. So we're going to carry on, get back into some more Q&As. We got another couple of questions that were sent in even from the last episode. So I appreciate that. PersonalTrainerHustle.com is where you guys can go. It'll be linked in the episode. You can just hit that link, takes you to the website, and you can just fill in the form there to send in your question. Obviously, type in your name, your email, because I may get back to you. Every once in a while, I reach back out to people that have sent in questions, and we do a private call. But, a lot of the times it ends up being a public call because we end up turning it into an episode. As long as you guys are down for that, we can turn that into an episode as well. So your question gets answered on an episode, but who knows? You may hear back from me in that email saying, hey, I want to get on a Zoom call with you and talk a little bit more and answer some questions specifically about your career and your training. So a lot of cool things can happen when you send in your questions to PersonalTrainerHustle.com. All right, you guys, I will be talking to you guys soon. Bye.